Hello, everybody. Would you like to know the theme song for this week? If I could put a pop song to what's going to occur astrologically this week, I could, and I would, and I will. I will show you. All right, so we're going to talk about Valentine's Day, and we're also going to talk about some more serious things, like the sun and Saturn's last tango. And we're also going to talk about the sun going into Pisces by the end of the week. So, but before I get into all that, let me introduce myself. If you don't know me, my name's Irlianna, and I do Hellenistic astrology, blended with modern, using whole sign houses. StarSound Speaks. Welcome, welcome. StarSound Astrology. Okay, so let's go to Valentine's Day. All right, so this week, we have an interesting conjunction. Venus is going to line up with Neptune in the sign of Pisces. So Venus, in her exaltation, right? She loves being in Pisces, gets a lot of support for this sweet, dreamy, luscious, glamorous, all the feels, you know, magic and mystery, right? But magic and mystery on steroids, because conjunction with Neptune in his domicile in Pisces, so exaltation and domicile, right? These are very strong signs. Neptune at home in Pisces, Venus in exalted in a really great place, gets a lot of support for doing that feely feel dance. That, you know, what is that, like that's the seduction and all. We're gonna deal with a lot of seduction this week, and you know, seduction can be very good, but there's also limits, right? But we're not gonna be able to see the limits very well. I would say be careful dating. You know, what are those Hinge and what's that other, the app? The one that's just I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. Those they're scary. Those, you don't know who you're dealing with. I mean, there's catfish everywhere. This is like the week to like beware of catfishing, like big time. I'm just warning you, okay? You have been warned. I'd also say perhaps, you know, try to control your drinking, because you may end up with a tattoo in the morning and you're like, how'd this happen, right? The old, you know, the sailor getting drunk and getting a tattoo. And so, you know, beware. But anyway, yeah, Venus conjunction Neptune. Okay, so there's the beware part, right? The deception. I found a song that's exactly perfect for this, but let me first finish what I'm going to say here before I share that song with you. I have to say, yes, you know, beware of deception, beware of the seduction of glamour, you know, that can very well be at play. But on the good side is, this is a really, especially if you're creative, or if you're afraid to be creative with your talents, this is the time when you can just explore beauty and art and inspiration and poetry and like all these cool Piscean, Neptunian things, the dream world, love unleashed, love without bounds, Venus conjunction Neptune. And so, you know, but pursuing what we love, and, you know, even if we don't believe in ourselves or our talents, it's like you can dream, and you can dream big, and just we can open ourselves up to deeply beautiful meditative processes, songs, singing, you know, thinking of like, Neptune has an aspect of divinity to it. So it's, you know, it's like, you know, this ocean of cosmic consciousness, and maybe song that can bring us there, and helps us escape this world. And let's face it, we're dealing with so much right now, right? Sending light and love to the people in Turkey and Syria. Gosh, could they use some Venus-Neptune conjunction? Yeah, big time. But anyway, yes, great creative potential. Watch for delusion with love, with beauty, with glamour, you know, the seduction of that. I would say, you know, okay, so now I'm going to tell you, okay, what's the song that comes up for me? Well, there's two songs, actually. One is that speaks to the Venus conjunction Neptune, and I'm going to share a second one that speaks to the sun and Saturn, but one thing at a time here. Okay. That song by Heart, remember from the 70s? It was like a really big mega hit, Magic Man. You know, they played a million times on the radio. But it's a great, I mean, these lyrics are so Venus Neptune. So I'm not going to sing them for you. I will spare you, but I will read them. I will read the lyrics. And this is definitely what we're moving into as we get into the week. And it will culminate on Wednesday. Actually, it will strongly feel it for Valentine's Day, and it'll really peak on Wednesday. So, cold late night, so long ago, when I was not so strong, you know, a pretty man came to me, never seen eyes so blue. You know, I could not run away, it seemed. We'd seen each other in a dream. Seemed like he knew me. He looked right through me. Come on home, girl, he said with a smile. You don't have to love me. Let's get high a while. But try to understand. Try to understand. Try. I'm sorry, I ain't got into it. I'm a magic man, right? Magic man. Winter nights we sang in tune, played inside the months of moon. Never think of never. Let this spell last forever. Totally about spells. Well, summer lover passed to fall, tried to realize it all. Mama says she's worried, growing up in a hurry. Come on home, girl. Come to your senses. Mama cried on the phone. It's too soon to lose my baby. My girl should be at home. But try to understand. Try to understand. Try to understand. He's a magic man. Mama, he's a magic man. Yep. Well, that's what you might be saying to yourself as you're trying to, you know, justify some wholly unrealistic expectation. You know, it's like going to be very difficult to manage expectations, especially around love and hookups and romance and intimacy and sex and all of those things this week. And the fact that Valentine's Day falls in the middle of this is kind of like I think it's like the, you know, comical almost, like the universe is just having a good joke on us. Anyway, but and so aside from all that, what's interesting is this, as that's all happening in one corner of the room, in the other corner, we got Sun and Saturn coming into a conjunction. It's actually very historic, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But the Sun conjunct with Saturn as this whole Venus, Neptune, illusion, delusion, magic, glamour, mystery man is going on. The Sun conjunct Saturn is like, okay, let's get real. Let's get accountable. Let's take a cold, hard, calculated look at our reality. So I think it's like you get drunk, you wake up with a tattoo you didn't know you even went for, and then the next day it's like that the ice cold reality check of like, you know, yes, it's certainly you know, we'll feel that. So maybe that'll be the saving grace, is like the Sun and Saturn in conjunction is kind of like, okay, kind of helping to put the brakes on completely losing ourselves, you know, falling head over heels with somebody that's totally inappropriate. So we can only hope. Or as my second song, Santana, that's in the song Smooth, that won him like a gazillion Grammys. It's like my favorite Santana song. But that line that he says, give me your heart, make it real, or else forget about it. Dang, that speaks to this week. So anyway, yeah, there's that. I have to say too that, you know, that Sun-Saturn conjunction is like, I think of that line of Thomas Jefferson. He said, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. So Aquarius being the sign of that represents freedom and democracy and all, but the price is eternal vigilance. So that's Saturnian vigilance and watching and accountability. You know, yes, there is, that really comes up very strongly this week. I want to say a little more about that. This is the Sun's last hookup with Saturn in his domicile for the next 29 or so years. So we won't see the Sun hooking up with Saturn in domicile for, you know, for decades. So that's the end of an era. And just as it was in the, you know, when you think about the early 60s with the space program, the Mercury and Gemini astronauts, and the Beatles coming to America, like all that exciting, heady time. It was very progressive, and you know how that all changed things, and technology too. When you think about, you know, we got, I know it's hard to believe, but there were actually black and white televisions, and I remember them. Yes, I am that old. And then it became color TV. So there was this paradigm shift with technology. Transistor radios were like the thing. All of a sudden it was like, wow, you don't have to sit at home with this big clunker radio dials. You can actually carry it around in your pocket and listen to music walking around. Like, I know this seems crazy, silly, but that was like the big deal of technology in that day. Fast forward another 30 years, we're in the early 90s, And what do we have? The information superhighway. I remember Al Gore introduced it on TV, and there was Lily Tomlin playing Ernestine, the telephone operator. Like they were like humoring people, but kind of, you know, introducing people to this whole new way of being. And, you know, humor, of course, softens things. And so there she was in character as Ernestine, and she was talking about the you know, this whole thing, the internet. So the internet and AI, you know, jumping in quantum measure at that time. And so here we are, as we are approaching not only Saturn leaving the Aquarian, this sign of Aquarius, but also Pluto entering Aquarius. As one leaves, the other enters. So we got Pluto in the, which is totally talk about AI transforming people's lives, and what that entails, and the limits of that, and the dangers, and the secret side of that, and the hidden side, which of course Pluto will always bring up. You know, we're on the threshold of this outrageous new beginning, new chapter in our lives with our own evolution. So again, you know, I've talked in depth with Ari Moshe Wolf. If you haven't listened to those podcasts, they're awesome. He so delineated that. We're also going to talk about it some more, of course, and next month when it actually happens. Epic month. March is like the biggest, most important month of the whole year, because it marks this huge era shift, you know, between Saturn leaving, starting a new 3 years stay in Pisces, and then Pluto 20 years. So anyway, this last Saturn conjunction with the Sun, Saturn in Aquarius, it's, when you think about Aquarian and Saturnian energy, it's like crystallizing. It's very clear and sharp. And I think of like a chilly, like standing at the North Pole and looking out into this huge, chilly, icy horizon with blue sky and like ice, you know, and like it's chilly and it's crystallizing and it's firm and it's real. And the ability to observe, you know, without emotion is very Aquarian. And so we take this feel, this particular, you know, you thinking in that direction, we can look back over, wow, Saturn's been in domicile for 5 years, first in Capricorn, then in Aquarius. That's a long time. That's a long, hard slog, you know, with everything we've been through with the pandemic and the breakdown of our, you know, the economy and the rapid restructuring along wholly different lines. You know, Pluto will take that even further, of course, and do its thing. But Saturn in domicile, you know, it's hard, it's tough. We, you know, I would say use this week to look back at where you've grown, what houses, what 2 houses, the house that governs in your chart that governs Capricorn, the house that governs Aquarius, those 2 areas of your life that have undergone some very stiff endings and cold hard reality checks. So it's good to look back and just kind of acknowledge that, like, hey, you know, you made it. That was not easy, and it's still not easy. But you've grown, we've grown, we've matured, we've gotten Saturn's elder authority, maturity, wisdom thing, you know, the biggest, strongest dose. Definitely a center of gravity. Definitely a garnering of wisdom, definitely receiving gifts that we have worked for, which is always, you know, the Saturn way. Anyway, moving on. So we have our Valentine thing. We have our Sun Saturn goodbye on Wednesday the 15th, and then by Friday we have Mercury, which is in the sign of Aquarius, is loves being there, right? It's all about electronics, internet, gadgetry, technology, innovative, genius thinking. You know, this is the time, the season where Mercury loves to do that. Well, Mercury is going to come into a sextile which is a favorable aspect. It has the nature of Venus. It's going to sextile Jupiter in Aries. So, and that'll perfect. So we will start feeling it like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It will perfect I'm talking about Eastern Standard Time, but you know, I would say you could, there's definitely, that really bodes well for like innovative new beginnings, things with like, say, commerce, internet commerce, absolutely. Freedom, democracy in terms of principles, unusual thinking, problem solving outside the box would be very much, it really speaks to that. Very much called for. And then we end the week on Saturday, February 18th, Eastern time. The sun will go into Pisces. So it leaves Aquarius, goes into the very dreamy, transcendental world of Pisces. And so the sun, our vital life force, it's shining a light on all things Piscean. So dreams, oceans, no boundaries, pure, sweet, love and compassion and forgiveness and mercy and kindness. Those are all like very Neptunian things. And then of course the shadow, as I've shared before, is that we can be escapist. We can go and escape into another world, and it may not be, you know, certainly drugs addiction, those kinds of things, substance abuse. So using things to escape, but not in a good way. You know, you go to the movies for a couple hours to escape, you know, your reality, and that's certainly, you know, one level of it. And then we just always want to look at the shadow and make sure that we, you know, manage ourselves accordingly. But this is interesting for the sun in Pisces, because this is the last Pisces season for the next 3 years without Saturn there, because, you know, once Saturn gets into Pisces in next month in March, then, you know, when the sun is, you know, conjoins it, it'll be, you know, like this is the last time when we can just swim in that ocean of, I would say, bold new beginnings, because Jupiter, its domiciled ruler, is in the sign of Aries. So this speaks to a very, really cool season. Pisces season from end of February to end of March is going to be really, it speaks to creativity. I would say, you know, live it up without, once Saturn gets there, it's kind of like, remember Charlie Brown's mother? She was like, you never saw her, you just heard her, and you never heard her voice. It was like this, you know, that like sour trumpet sound. Yeah, that's like Saturn and Pisces. Like, okay, I love my dreams and all, but it's like the damper that tries to tamp down on these things. But actually what he's doing is he wants us to make things real, make our dreams real. But yes, it can feel a little heavy, and it's like, okay, ground that thing, make it happen. Like the studio executive in a Hollywood studio, you know, the writer having these grandiose ideas, and then you know, but the studio, the suits, you know, come along and go, okay, you know, is that something that we is there a profit to that? Is there a bottom line? You know, how can we you know, extrapolate this into, you know, lots of money making things? It's like there's always a balance. Anyway, so yeah, I would say you know, live without Saturn there. Like this is the last, you know, Pisces, you know, season without Saturn, you know, being there. So, you know, live it up, just swim in the ocean, swim like be like the whale or the mermaid, you know, have faith. I would say too, have faith in yourself. We find ourselves being passionate about justice, about wisdom and spirituality. Just don't get arrogant or overbearing about it or argumentative. I would say too, you know, this one has the, let me just pull that up here real quick. I'm gonna pull that little chart up. Okay, yeah. Here's the map for Washington, D.C., the sky map for the Pisces season, 0 degrees, always a critical degree. What's nice is now the sun is co-present with Neptune, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. Of course, Jupiter having passed over Neptune, so we're feeling the afterglow of all that creative inspiration. Still wonderful, very, very good for this. And the ruler of Pisces, being Jupiter, is in this go get them, go conquer the world kind of attitude of Jupiter in bold new beginnings, making changes, making new beginnings. It's very infused with that energy. It's also, I like the fact that we've got here this exact conjunction of Moon and Mars within 1 minute. Moon and Mercury within a minute. Whoa, there's a lot about, the moon rules the population of a country. And I know in the United States, we have the moon in Aquarius anyway, later degree, but I think this really speaks to a great one, finding comfort in innovation and being and speaking and being the outsider. It's like, okay, I'm weird, I don't belong, and maybe it's about embracing that. It's in a trine with Mars, so yeah, why don't we embrace our weirdness and just celebrate it and move in those directions. It's like, and we don't have to fight about our having to be, there could be that tendency to want to fight or point of view or be pushy about that, but it's like, no, we can look, there's plenty of room for all of us. I would just say that. So anyway, yeah, so that's what I want to share about that. I would say too, the interesting part of this lunation in Pisces is going to be next month around March 16th, right in time for, guess what? St. Patty's Day. Oh, that's another, I was going to bring it up, but maybe well, next month is going to have so many significant things. Forget St. Patty's Day. We have this life-changing, entrance of Pluto in Aquarius, but way bigger, right? But I will say that, yeah, the thing about the Pisces season is the Sun, Mercury, and Neptune all together will be squaring Mars by the end of this lunation, about 25 late degrees of Pisces. That could be some interesting conversations. Maybe it could bring some confusion or the dissolution of or confusion around what we believe or what we believe in. What are our beliefs? Certainly, what are our spiritual beliefs? The facts are clouded, that over Saturn and Mars, there's a square by sign, so it's that square coming into a square with Mars and Gemini. So there's definitely some conflict or confusion around beliefs. What do I believe? Who do I believe? Maybe our sources of news and maybe feeling confused, or maybe alternative points of view being presented on topics. And we really have to, with Mercury and Pisces in exile, we'd have to really lean into our intuition to know what is right for us. So that would be my advice. I would say too, with Mars and Gemini, it's always sibling and neighbor arguments. All right, well, maybe with all that heavy duty Neptunian Sun, Mercury, Neptune, and Pisces in that square, it can be about the need to inject kindness and forgiveness into whatever squabbles we may have going on, fighting wars of words. Gemini rules in-laws, cousins, siblings, neighbors, relatives, that education, teachers, elementary school, lower and high school, that level, youth, things like that. So I would say, a huge measure of giving space and compassion and allowing other points of view would be really I think we'll really be called into action on that by the time the sun finishes up its journey through Pisces. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to share with you today. I hope you found this useful. If you did, I'd like, share, subscribe, share it with a friend. Always grateful for that. And anyway, I hope you all have a great, fantastic week, and happy Valentine's Day. And see you all very soon. This is Irlianna StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Thank you all for listening. Namaste.